Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Kevin Hogan. Soon, President Trump will sign an executive order aimed at strengthening the nation's foster care system. We'll bring you there live. And after a record 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history is over. We discuss the situation with political strategists. A judge heard arguments today in the criminal cases against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey over whether the Justice Department's prosecutor was illegally appointed. New voting records released by the DHS that the department says show an illegal alien from Mexico voted in U.S. elections. And U.S. lawmaker says China has a loaded gun that is pointed at our economy. Republicans and Democrats are working together to expose how the CCP uses predatory practices to dominate an industry critical to the global economy.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
After a record 43 days, the nation's longest government shutdown is now over. President Trump signed a funding bill late last night, ending over a month of furloughs and delays across the country. Here are the details.
President Trump signed a stopgap bill around 10:25 p.m. last night, officially reopening the federal government and restoring pay for hundreds of thousands of federal employees.
Today we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was. In just a moment, I'll sign a bill exactly like we asked Democrats to send us all along, many days ago.
The motion is adopted.
The House cleared the measure 222 to 209, with 6 Democrats joining Republicans to end the standoff. The fight that triggered the shutdown centered on the expiring Affordable Care Act tax credits. Democrats wanted an immediate extension. Republicans said the issue should be debated later. But the stopgap bill cleared the Senate earlier this week without an extension. Going into the House vote, some Democrats criticized the bill.
I think it is a raw deal for the American people.
After the vote, Speaker Mike Johnson gave credit to the GOP for not wavering.
We feel very relieved tonight. The Democrat shutdown is finally over, thanks to House and Senate Republicans who stood together to get the job done.
Congressman Don Davis, a Democrat who broke ranks to back the funding bill, defended his vote last night, but said the fight would continue.
People are hurting out there. I mean, they're getting hit with costs. Their parents trying to raise kids. Farmers been hit. I mean, this is not over by any means.
President Trump also used the moment to renew his call to end the Senate filibuster, saying the rule enables partisan gridlock.
I hope we can all agree that the government should never be shut down again, end the filibuster, terminate the filibuster. It'll never happen again.
The bill ensures funding for major departments and food assistance programs through next fall, but only extends funding for the rest of the federal government till the end of January. The same healthcare fight could spark another shutdown when that temporary runs out. After the House vote yesterday, Speaker Johnson declined to commit on a vote to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies.
During an interview with CNN this morning, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said most people will receive their SNAP benefits by this weekend. And from healthcare to travel and customer service, here's a look at how reopening the government could affect you.
The reopening of the government is having real-world impacts on Americans today. More services are becoming available again with the return of furloughed federal employees. They're set to get back pay, and some experts predict an economic rebound.
Even though it gets made up in the measured GDP data, the real human impact is never fully recovered.
For people on Obamacare, the reopening could mean their health insurance costs will more than double. Democrats vow to keep fighting.
Either Republicans finally decide to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits this year, or the American people will throw Republicans out of their jobs next year.
The House Speaker says he wants program reforms first.
I'm not going to guarantee a vote on ACA unreformed COVID-era subsidies that is just a boondoggle to insurance companies and robs the taxpayer. we got a lot of work to do on that.
It's unclear when flight schedules will return to normal, but SNAP benefits should be available again soon.
Food should not be up for a bargain. Everyone should have the right to eat.
For many programs, the bill provides funding through January.
As we've been covering, the longest shutdown in U.S. history has officially ended. And joining us now to discuss is Madeline Somerville, Democratic strategist, speechwriter, and attorney. We also have Angie Wong, Republican strategist and political columnist. Good to have you both here today. Angie, we'll start with you. What was achieved in this funding measure passed by the House and Senate that Americans had to endure 43 days of shutdown?
Yeah, absolutely nothing was achieved other than to show that Republicans were always going to offer this deal to hear about ACA subsidies and Obamacare and doing an extension, but only after we had a clean budget passed. And that's all we wanted from the very get-go. October 1 until now didn't have to happen this way, right? All those cards were already on the table. We were ready to talk to Democrats about health care, but only when it was time to, after that very critical extension of our budget was passed. So nothing was achieved other than to show that, Democrats was using this as a political leverage all along. And that's where they failed. That's why they're going after Chuck Schumer right now, asking him to resign, because at the end of the day, they held out for nothing. But meanwhile, American suffers. Babies did not get their subsidies. I was stuck at, the airport for hours on end, and as many Americans were. Our flights were canceled or delayed. We didn't have to suffer all of this, but at the end of the day, it didn't really prove anything at all. 43 days was a very, very long time. And I'm very happy to see the government reopen again. Federal workers are waiting for their back pay. We should get that out to them immediately. And also, we'd love to see air travels. We would love to see planes in the air again, especially right before the Thanksgiving weekend travel begins.
Well, thanks for that, Angie. And of course, we know that there is another deadline coming up in the near future in which there has to be some resolution at some point. Now, Madeline, I'd like to give you a chance to respond to your co-panelists and also mentioning how Trump said that Democrats, quote, this was an easy extension, but that they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way. Any thoughts?
Sure. And I'm always happy to respond to my lovely co-panelist, Angie Wong. It's cool that we can be friends outside of politics. I just wanted to let everyone know that it's possible. So I don't think that the shutdown was for nothing, right? And I am very happy that people are willing to let Chuck Schumer go at this point. I want a whole new set of leadership, Pelosi, Jeffries, everyone. So I'm not here to defend Chuck Schumer in any way. I think that it was time to reopen the government. I think that people got the message. It came at a time that was during these elections when we needed to feel that energy as Democrats. And I think that it communicated what it needed to not just the base, because the base needed to understand that their representatives were going to hold out for something that they believed in. But I think it also tipped a few other voters who may have been swaying towards Trump back into this direction. Because I think that the framing of the Democrats don't care about you because they won't open the government, they don't care if you get your food stamps, they don't care if you get access to what you need, was obviously false, because they were the Democrats were trying to fight for something important and real, and I think people bought it. And that's one of the reasons why the Democrats did so well in this recent election. So I think the point was made. It's time to open the government back up. I think that we were finally at the end of our rope here, right, where people were just like, I can't take this anymore, and it was about to turn on them. So I think the point was made, and it was the right time to open it back up.
So, Madeline, I understand what you're saying. Now, for people who are behind those fights, that what they want to accomplish, they didn't get it. Is it the thought that counts, though, or is it just the fact that they held to it for so long, even though it didn't amount to anything?
Yeah, that's totally a fair question. And I unfortunately agree with you, even though your phrasing it makes it sound very sad, which is the thought that counts, right? Because I do think that people have been impressed by things that seem to be silly, right? Like Gavin Newsom taking on Donald Trump and ramping up his voice in response to him. But in doing so, right, he's cognitively put himself on the same playing field as Donald Trump. These are little things that actually count for a lot. Or like the Democrats walking out in Texas, right? They're demonstrating we're willing to fight for you. And this isn't something that we've seen in the past. And I think that if they had held out any longer, the tides would have turned on them. I don't think they had a choice. And so yes, and I knew the House was going to open up. I knew Jeffries was going to cave. 100%, it was absolutely going to happen. And I understand why my Democratic colleagues are frustrated. And it makes sense that I would disagree with what they're saying because I usually disagree with them, even though mine is now in support of what the Democrats are doing. But I think that overall, the point was made that needed to be made. We just didn't have the resources or time, and the people didn't have what they needed in order to be able to keep going.
Thanks for that insight, Madeline. And Angie, on that note, President Trump has said that the big swing, I mean, you saw New Jersey and the Virginia governor's race go hard to the Democrats, and, well, one seat was flipped. Now, what is the messaging surrounding this shutdown, and how could it impact the midterms? Of course, you know, we hear Democrats saying that they need to claw back some of those benefits that they say the Republicans are taking away and so on.
Well, certainly the shutdown and also last week's election has framed the midterms coming up next year. Affordability, I've never heard that word more used in the last week. So clearly Trump has now regeared, and he's talking about making the American dream a lot more affordable for Americans again. And I think now that the government's reopened, he can start doing that. Remember, his big, beautiful bill addresses this very issue. He wants to bring the cost of gas and groceries and insurance down for all Americans. He wants to bring mortgages down as well. He's floating several ideas about mortgage reform out there, which I love, as well as auto loans. So he's tackling all these things because he realizes, wow, last Tuesday was a loss for Republicans, even though I wouldn't call it a blue wave because a lot of these states were already blue and they just won again in a blue state. But that is certainly, it gave President Trump and his team a pause for the midterms because President Trump wants a full 4-year presidency, not a 2-year where he has to fight the House or the Senate. He wants everyone on board to get the entire America First agenda all the way through the 4 years without too much of a fight. So I think that's what the last 2 weeks has taught us between the shutdown as well as last Tuesday's election.
And Angie, thanks for helping our viewers understand any pivots that may be happening in Trump's agenda. I mean, we know the MAGA agenda was centered on affordable gas prices, you know, unleashing American energy. So, but there may be some tweaks that you're alluding to. Madeline, how do you respond to what your co-panelist is saying?
Yeah, I tend to think that actually President Trump's intentions are different than those of the people behind him. I think that there's a lot of evidence to indicate that President Trump does want all of these prices to go down. I think he wants to give the people what they want, to put it plainly. That's been reflected in reproductive rights, his decisions on that. It's been reflected in a lot of his policies where he looks at the polls, he talks to people and he says, this is what people want. However, right, I think that his attempts to do so are going to fall on deaf ears, especially because he's making things up right now. It's so silly for him to say things like, what do you mean affordability? Like things are the best that they've ever been under Trump. He's very reluctant to use that word affordability because he knows that that's working for the Democrats. And he's willing to make things up about what the truth is in terms of the economy so that he can reinforce the position that Trump is the best and he's always been the best and always will be the best. But the American people are not buying it if you look at the polls. So I do agree. I think that it might be his intentions, but he's not going to get his way by lying to people about it.
Madeline, affordability is certainly a major aspect to all of this. I mean, you have cumulative inflation hitting Americans with 20% more of these prices. So, I mean, it adds up, definitely. Now, we may have some feed coming in, so I just want to let you all know that we may be cutting to that in a moment. But Angie, if we still have a moment, with funding only extended to January, what do you think will happen this time? Is there another shutdown possible that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, January 30th is just around the corner, and there could be another shutdown if we don't get this right. We have between now and remember, and we also have a major break in the middle of that for the holidays as well. So Congress will be out of session for a lot of those dates. I have no doubt that given what we just went through, Americans cannot face another shutdown, certainly not for 40 plus days. We can't keep doing this round and round. It is the definition of insanity if we do. I do hope that our houses, our lawmakers can get it together and actually pass something for real this time. And John Thune had already promised Democrats that we're going to talk about the ACA. We're going to talk about the Affordable Care Act and try to get that through. Again, that should be put on the floor for a vote, and we'll see what happens there, but there's no guarantees either. But I suspect that if Democrats don't get what they want in mid-December, that they're going to pull all of this again on January 30th and put all Americans through another shutdown. And that's what I want to forewarn everybody. Let's not even walk down that pathway. Let's get it done before the holidays. Let's get everyone paid and get this government completely opened.
Well, Angie and Madeline, thank you for sharing your deep understanding with us. Hopefully it can benefit the American people having this think tank. And right now we're going to cut to President Trump. So thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And President Trump joined by First Lady Melania Trump. They're both at the White House right now, and they're about to sign an executive order to strengthen foster care system. Let's take a look at this.
A Be Best initiative provides individuals from the foster care community with technology-based scholarships to attend colleges and universities throughout America. Fostering the future sets these individuals on their career paths, but more significantly, it equips each scholarship recipient with a fundamental foundation of knowledge that will endure throughout their lifetimes. Permanency for those who embody the fleeting. I applaud the American universities that have joined my mission, institutions like Vanderbilt University, University of Miami, and Villanova University. Following graduation, scholarship recipients from my program are prepared to enter the workforce and ultimately become leading executives. Predictably, they will manage thousands of employees and generate significant value for American communities through job creation, access to healthcare, food security, and other societal benefits. This executive order, fostering the future for American children and families, gives me tremendous pride. It is both empathetic and strategic. It will certainly be impactful. It aims to establish a comprehensive network connecting federal departments and agencies, private sector's businesses, higher learning institutions, and charitable organizations. This will create new educational and employment opportunities countrywide. Our faith-based organizations will continue playing a vital and consequential role. My hope, of course, is that this level of coordinated collaboration will sustain. But today, I call on leadership from these various organizations, including the private sector, to join my effort, rise above the ease of inaction. I predict this small spark today will ignite a profound and lasting nationwide movement. Our united resolve will foster a thriving future filled with compassion and innovation. Together, we will illuminate the pathway for today's foster children to become tomorrow's builders. And tomorrow's builders will foster the future of America's legacy. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce my husband, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I think it's very good, especially for someone that speaks 5 languages at least. I think that's pretty amazing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Yes, well, thank you, Melania. And our country is truly blessed to have this magnificent and very caring First Lady. They love her. Every time I get up and make a speech, they say, "We want our First Lady." I said, "What the hell? I'm not good enough? I'm not." But thank you very much. Great job, and it's great the work you do in so many ways. This afternoon, I'm delighted to sign a historic executive order building on the Fostering the Future initiative to make America's foster care system better, fairer, and more effective than ever before. And it's been effective, but it's moving in a very strong direction. All of this has been made possible by Melania's incredible devotion to America's youth. Spends a lot of time on it and loves it, and along with our great Usha, you spend so much time, and what a combination. First Lady, Second Lady, what a combination. Thank you. They do a great job, the two of them. They're amazing women. I want to thank Vice President J.D. Vance and Usha. Thank you very much. Vice President, stand up, Vice President. And he did a big thing today. He's going to be on television tonight with the legendary Sean Hannity, so everybody has to watch. I'm sure CNN loves this advertisement, but he will be. I heard it was a great interview. And Secretary Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much. An extremely non-controversial Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But he's right. And Scott Turner, thank you very much. Doing a great job at HELP. And thanks as well to Senator John Husted and Representatives Jason Smith, Darren LaHood, Zach Nunn, and David Schweikert. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, fellas. Great group. We're also joined by countless distinguished leaders in the child welfare advocacy, ministry, and charitable foundations, as well as so many wonderful young people who have experienced foster care and used their voices to champion needed reforms. And I want to thank everybody for being here. It's an amazing day at the White House. Thank you very much. And right behind me, by the way, in about 2 years from now, we'll use a much bigger room because we had to turn away a lot of people. And it'll be right here. This will be the entrance. That's a knockout paddle. It's called a knockout. It looks pretty nice right now, but it's going to look a lot better in a little while. And we're going to go from this room into a room that seats a few more people, and it's going to be beautiful. But I just noticed I happen to be standing here, Peter, and I thought I might as well get you a shot right now, a nice, beautiful shot at the future entrance to something that's really become very popular, the ballroom. They've wanted it for 150 years, and they're getting it, and they're getting the best. It'll be the best anywhere in the world. Each year, more than 15,000 young people age out of the foster care system, and unfortunately, too many struggle to become self-sufficient. The order I will sign in a few moments will provide vital new resources to help young people transition out of the foster care system and live a very happy and a very successful life. Very, very successful. With this order, I'm directing the heads of the key federal departments and agencies to establish a Fostering the Future program in coordination with our wonderful First Lady's office. They're coordinating, and they've already been coordinating for quite some time, and I think I hear it's going really well. You're going to have some, when she gets involved in things, it works, I can tell you that. Under this major new initiative, great American companies and institutions will be signing a pledge to invest in teaching, training, and mentoring America's youth who are transitioning out of the foster care system. This will help provide jobs, education, and personal development opportunities to fantastic young people who truly need and deserve them, and they're going to get them. A terrific example of the impact these programs can have is Eric Alvarez from Omaha, Nebraska, who is with us today. Where's Eric? Where is he? Stand up. Good-looking guy. Good-looking guy. Eric and his siblings were placed in foster care for a year when he was 9. He entered the child welfare system again when he was 15, and today he credits a mentoring and mentorship and work experience program for foster youth with helping him to finish high school and start his adult life. And he did really well in high school, by the way, really a great student, but he starts life on the right foot, right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, I think you better say yes, otherwise I'm in big trouble. Otherwise, I'm all by myself up here, Eric. That would be good. I hear you're doing incredibly. Now, after graduating from the University of Nebraska and interning for Congressman Don Bacon, Eric is pursuing a master's degree at the George Washington University, and he is a cadet in the Air Force ROTC, who will be commissioned as an officer upon graduation. And Eric, I just want to say, great job. You've really been outstanding, and I think that's probably why you were chosen out of so many people. You've done a fantastic job. Congratulations. The new initiative we're establishing will also create an opportunity for foster youth to take full responsibility of the federal tax credit scholarship program established by the One Big Beautiful Bill. So many things, tax cuts and regulation cuts, so many things. The biggest ever passed in the history of our country. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I changed the name a little bit to make it even more sublime. But it is, there's so many things in there for everybody. We had a choice. We could have done it in 9 different bills or try for the one, and everybody said, no, let's do it in 9. It'll be easier. Actually, it wouldn't have gotten done. And JD and I and Scott and all of us got together, and we said, let's give it a shot, and we got it passed. And it was an amazing thing, but it's going to help a lot of people. There's never been anything like it. As in one bill, there's never been anything close. And when you see what's going on with the Democrats, we're lucky we got it passed because we don't have to do anything. All we have to do is implement it now, and we'll be implementing it all over the place. If you think about it, no tax on tips, right? No tax on Social Security, all of the different things, no tax on overtime. You get deductions if you buy a car. You take an interest rate deduction, an interest deduction against your income tax. It's never happened. Nothing like this has really ever been approved to this extent. And so it is one great, big, beautiful bill. But using the tax credit will expand occupational training, education, and financial literacy programs for the foster youth and make it possible for more of them to attend the school of their choice. Choice is a great word for a lot of reasons, but it's a great thing with education. And we'll also create the new Fostering the Future online platform to help young people find the access and really get great housing, very, very important and beautiful housing, health care, and other resources available to foster youth and those transitioning out of foster care. And we think it's going to happen with many, many people, many more than you have right now. Under the Trump administration, we believe that every American child deserves a safe and loving home, and we're determined to support the amazing families who help make that happen. And we have some of those families in the room today, and I just want to thank you all for being in the White House. There is no place like this, and we want to thank you very much for being here. We're great families. Thank you very much. Faith-based, thank you. Faith-based nonprofits are the nation's most trusted institutions, interacting with the foster care system and practicing Christians and more. Think of this, more than twice as likely foster care. They'll adopt the general population. They adopt to it so easily. When they get out, they adopt to it just like it's just becomes second nature. It's amazing. Yet radical left policies in states nationwide make it much harder, not easier, for those families to open up their homes. But we're working on that. We're dealing with the radical left. It's not easy, but we're winning, and we're winning big. That's why with the order that we're doing today, we're taking the ridiculous woke policies that discriminate against Christians and families of faith. As president, I will always stand by us. We will stand by our country, and we will stand for religious liberty. So important. We stand for religious liberty. The Bible tells us, thank you. Thank you. The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care, and we're going to ensure that they will never, ever be forgotten. These children will never be forgotten, and they're going to grow up to be unbelievable, strong, smart, wealthy, productive citizens. So once more, I want to thank Melania for the great job she does, not here only just as First Lady. She's a great First Lady. And I want to thank you very much, honey, and the foster families and leaders here today. You're very special people. and we're going to work together, and we're going to have some absolutely incredible results. Thank you all for being here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ready, everybody? This is it. Too late to change after. Should we sign it? All right. Susie, do we sign this? Ask the First Lady to sign this. Okay.
That's President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, both signing Fostering the Future, an executive order that bolsters and reforms the foster care system, bringing jobs, healthcare security, and food security to those going through it. It's also coordination between schools and companies in order for them to get the proper teaching and training and mentoring as well, and using tax credits from the One Big Beautiful Bill in order to support those in the foster care system. And stay with us. After the break, the Trump administration has designated 4 violent left-wing Antifa groups based in Europe as foreign terrorist organizations. We'll have that for you in a moment.
Picture this, the heart of Manhattan, full of energy, movement, and life. Now imagine bringing that same vitality into your home with trusted health insights for your body, mind, and soul. Every week, Vital Signs dives into health issues that matter the most. The foods that strengthen your immune system, the exercises that keep you moving, the mindfulness practices that calm your mind, plus expert advice from doctors and health leaders you can trust. This isn't just another health show. It's real insight designed to keep you informed, inspired, and in motion. So whether you're starting your day with focus or winding down with balance, Vital Signs brings health and vitality straight into your living room.
Don't wait. Call now to find out about our Medicare plan.
Why do we have to sit through so many Medicare commercials this time of year? It's endless.
Good question, Edith. I'm glad you asked. We see so many commercials this time of year because it's the only time, other than special circumstances, when Medicare recipients can change their plan for Part C. Original Medicare only covers Parts A and B, but a Medicare Advantage plan has additional benefits that Original Medicare doesn't offer.
So now's the time to fill those spaces?
That's right, Archie. And every year, there are changes to what benefits you may receive from your Part C plan. Call right now to find out what plan best suits your needs.
It's easy, easy, don't delay. Pick up the phone and call today.
Call now for your free Medicare review.
1-833-469-1754. 1-833-469-1754.
You may now return to your regularly scheduled programming.
Is deep sea fish oil really healthy?
Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3.
Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals.
It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Welcome back. Former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James asked a South Carolina judge to disqualify the interim U.S. attorney who brought the criminal cases against them. The judge seems to have doubts about the attorney's appointment. Judge Cameron Curry, who's based in South Carolina, presided over the proceeding held in Virginia to avoid any conflicts for the Virginia judges. Curry expressed deep skepticism over whether the Justice Department's recently appointed prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, is eligible to take on that role. James and Comey argue Halligan was appointed after a previous U.S. attorney in the district had used up the temporary 120-day period allowed, and that Attorney General Pam Bondi doesn't have the authority to select back-to-back appointments. The Justice Department argues that even if Halligan is improperly serving in the role, the indictments should not be thrown out because they don't hinge on her holding the office. While it's unclear how the judge will ultimately rule, she is expected to decide before Thanksgiving. A ruling against the government could derail both indictments. New records released of an illegal alien from Mexico accused of voting multiple times in U.S. elections. The Department of Homeland Security shared more documents that show Jose Joe Caballos Martinez's voting records. The department says he committed several felonies by illegally voting in numerous elections. The Attorney General of Kansas is prosecuting him for 3 counts of voting without being qualified and 3 counts of election perjury. In its release, the DHS noted that states have access to the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements, or SAVE program, to ensure only Americans vote in American elections. And Homeland Security and the state of Florida announced a major enforcement surge across the Sunshine State. In total, authorities arrested more than 230 criminal illegal immigrants, including 150 sexual predators. Governor Ron DeSantis commented today.
Some of these guys had committed offenses against children, sexual predators. These were people that under the Biden administration, they were allowed to just roam with no threat of serious deportation. The times have changed. We have tremendous momentum in the state of Florida because of our leadership on being the #1 state to support the Trump administration's policies to take illegal aliens who are in our country, remove them, and send them back to their home country.
The effort was called Operation Criminal Return, also nicknamed Operation Dirtbag. The operation was conducted between state and local law enforcement authorities. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says she calls this Operation Dirtbag because these individuals were not just sex offenders, they targeted children. Some of the charges include sexual assault, battery, and attempted homicide. A former top aide to California Governor Gavin Newsom has been indicted on 23 federal charges tied to a political corruption and money laundering scheme. Prosecutors say Newsom's former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, and several co-conspirators helped divert $225,000 from a dormant campaign account belonging to former Health Secretary Javier Becerra. That money allegedly ended up in an associate's personal account. The indictment also accuses Williamson of falsifying business records and tax filings, claiming personal luxury purchases and private jet flights as business expenses. Williamson yesterday pleaded not guilty in federal court in Sacramento. She was released under conditions including surrendering her passport and avoiding contact with co-conspirators. Governor Newsom's office said Williamson no longer works for his administration and emphasized that all public servants must uphold the highest standards of integrity. If convicted, Williamson faces up to 20 years in prison for each count of bank and wire fraud, along with additional penalties for obstruction and false statements. More than 1,000 Starbucks workers are on strike today, timing their walkout with the company's busy Red Cup Day. The union-led strike affects about 65 stores in 45 cities, including New York, Seattle, and Dallas.
Organizers say they're protesting stalled contract talks and demanding higher pay, better hours, and improved staffing. They also accuse Starbucks of retaliating against pro-union employees. The company says the vast majority of its 10,000 U.S. stores remain open and insists it offers an industry-leading pay and benefits package averaging $30 an hour. The company's benefits include up to 18 weeks of paid family leave and 100% tuition coverage for a 4-year college degree. The union says the strike is open-ended and could expand if no deal is reached, while the company maintains it's ready to return to the bargaining table.
Toyota has officially opened its $14 billion lithium-ion battery plant in Liberty, North Carolina. Construction on the plant began in 2021, and it's now ready to start production. The 7 million square foot facility sits on 1,800 acres in rural Randolph County and will eventually employ more than 5,000 workers. It's Toyota's first battery production facility outside Japan. It will produce batteries for hybrid and all-electric vehicles, including the Camry, Corolla, and RAV4, as well as a new 3-row SUV. Toyota says it will invest another $10 billion over the next 5 years to expand U.S. manufacturing. Governor Josh Stein hailed the project as the largest corporate investment in the state's history. iPhone users now have a new way to present identification at U.S. airports.
Digital ID and Apple Wallet is now being tested at TSA checkpoints at more than 250 airports in the U.S. Apple says you create the ID using your valid U.S. passport. It works even if you do not have a real ID-compliant driver's license or state ID. The launch follows the capability for users to add an eligible driver's license and state ID to Apple Wallet. Digital ID does not replace a physical passport. It cannot be used for international travel and border crossings.
Up ahead, a U.S. lawmaker says China has a loaded gun that is pointed at our economy. Republicans and Democrats are working together to expose how the CCP uses predatory practices to dominate an industry critical to the global economy. Stay with us for that.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutVaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Hi, thanks for staying with us. In a significant development today, the U.S. State Department has designated 4 Antifa-linked groups as foreign terrorist organizations. The department says the groups have, quote, waged terror campaigns in the United States and Europe, conspiring to undermine the foundations of Western civilization through their brutal attacks. Here are the 4 groups. Germany's Antifa Ost, known for hammer attacks on civilians. Italy's International Revolutionary Front, who sent bombs to politicians, embassies, and civilians, causing injuries. Greece's Armed Proletarian Justice, which pledges war on cops and state. And another group in Greece called Revolutionary Class Self-Defense. A Pennsylvania senator is recovering in the hospital after a fall near his home. A spokesperson shared on X that Senator John Fetterman felt lightheaded on a morning walk and fell on his face, suffering minor injuries. It was determined that this was due to a ventricular fibrillation flare-up, which is a type of irregular heartbeat. The Democrat had a stroke during his campaign for Senate in 2022 and was also hospitalized the following year for feeling lightheaded. The spokesperson said Fetterman is well and opted to stay in the hospital so doctors could fine-tune his medications. Fetterman had this to say, quote, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." And Secretary of State Marco Rubio refuted media reports claiming that the UK stopped sharing intelligence on drug trafficking vessels because of concerns over U.S. airstrikes in the Caribbean region. Rubio said that no recent changes have undermined federal operations. Here's more.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday rejected complaints from some allies over the legality of U.S. strikes in the Caribbean. Rubio was at a G7 foreign ministers meeting in Canada, where talks focused on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. But some of the countries present have raised concerns about U.S. attacks on vessels, which the Trump administration says are carrying drugs. France's foreign minister said Tuesday the strikes, quote, violate international law and are a worry for nearby French territories. The U.S. military has hit at least 19 suspected drug boats in the Caribbean and off Latin America's Pacific coast, killing at least 76 people. However, before leaving Canada, Rubio told reporters no one mentioned the strikes to him at the meeting. He defended targeting what he called narco-terrorists, saying drugs move through Venezuela to Europe, and the U.S. should be thanked. He added that Europe doesn't get to decide how Washington defends its national security. Rubio also dismissed a CNN report that Britain stopped sharing drug intel over the strikes.
We have very strong partnerships with the UK and other countries. Again, nothing has changed or happened that has impeded in any way our ability to do what we're doing, nor are we asking anyone to help us with what we're doing in any realm, and that includes military.
The Trump administration says the targeted boats carried drugs. Washington claims the strikes comply with UN Charter Article 51 on self-defense. The G7 statement backed fighting drug trafficking at sea, but did not mention the U.S. campaign.
As the trade truce between China and America takes shape, the U.S. is eyeing ways to combat China's dominance over rare earth and critical minerals. It's an issue that some describe as America's single greatest vulnerability. NTD's Melina Weiskup reports.
The bipartisan House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party is exposing an issue that's cost Americans jobs, businesses, and jeopardized our national security. Investigators released a new report this week. A key point is that China rose to dominance in the critical mineral arena not through fair competition, but through predatory practices. The CCP's goal is to deal a blow to Western economies. In the words of China Committee Chairman John Molinar, China has a loaded gun that is pointed at our economy, and we must act quickly. America relies on China for over 80% of its rare earths, which are needed to make products we use every day, from electronics to medical equipment to military and defense gear, you name it. This is a dependence by design that's been in the making for more than 3 decades.
The PRC developed this control over decades of careful planning and execution. In 1992, then Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping famously said, "The Middle East has oil, China has rare earths."
China has long subsidized its own production and lured Western companies into collaboration only to then cheat by selling products below market value. This put Western companies out of business. Though the impacts of this have become more evident during the U.S.-China trade war, officials have long known that this problem exists, some even describing it as our single greatest vulnerability.
We have known that China is able and willing to weaponize its chokehold on critical minerals against adversaries like the United States. Despite knowing these dangers, the U.S. is no closer to achieving critical mineral independence than we were 15 years ago.
To combat this, the Trump administration is preparing to appoint a critical minerals czar. The committee is also suggesting to create a strategic resource reserve that would be similar to the national oil reserves. Lawmakers are also eyeing critical minerals tax credits to try to boost more domestic production. Though a big piece of the equation here is how to expedite mining permits. This is usually an uphill battle because of pushback from environmental groups. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
The Select Committee on the CCP will hold a hearing next week on this very topic to further expose the CCP's predatory practices and their impact on Americans. And for several years, relations between Europe and China have cooled. Yet some countries have deepened ties with Beijing, facing growing risks of dependence, especially through China's Belt and Road Initiative. Lawmakers from across the bloc gathered in Brussels to discuss the challenges arising from partnerships with the Chinese Communist Party. NTD international correspondent David Vives reports.
While the EU as a whole is moving toward gradual de-risking from Beijing, several countries, such as Spain and Hungary, have recently reinforced ties with China through Belt and Road projects, underlining the bloc's difficulty in uniting. With the Eurozone experiencing slow economic growth and facing serious issues regarding energy sources and rare earth minerals supply, some member states are looking for alternative solutions. At the Interparliamentary Alliance on China last week in Brussels, legislators from across Europe highlighted some countries' dependence on China. Patterns of Chinese Communist Party influence, often at the expense of national interests, emerged as members of IPAC discussed the challenges their countries face in relations with Beijing. Scottish politician Stuart MacDonald said there is a lack of awareness in Scotland about the long-term risks of deals made with China.
We have an issue in the energy sector, particularly the renewable energy sector, very heavy over-reliance on China there. We have an over-reliance on China in our higher education sector, particularly our universities, which have become so dependent on the funds that come from the large volumes of students from China.
He said one example is how China's state-owned PetroChina has a stake in Scotland's critical energy sector. While PetroChina decided to close its oil refinery in the country, experts know that Scotland no longer controls how its energy is produced or regulated. Due to several factors, Scotland now has some of the highest energy costs in Europe.
We've just closed our last remaining oil refinery, 50% owned by PetroChina. Scotland is unique in that it is an oil-producing country with no oil refinery. This is madness, and the result of that has been quite an enormous hit to our economy nationally, very big hit to that economy locally with the loss of hundreds of jobs. But we had in Grangemouth, which is the name of the oil refinery that closed down, a huge stake from PetroChina. That should never have been allowed to happen.
Smaller countries also voiced concerns that the Chinese Communist Party takes advantage of large loans accepted by their governments. Members of parliament from Balkan countries such as Bosnia-Herzegovina and North Macedonia said they are facing similar challenges with Chinese investments.
They have been financing the building of a new coal factory in Tuzla region in the north of Bosnia-Herzegovina, 613 million euros. Also providing laws for different infrastructural projects, strategic energy, road, transportation infrastructure. So we see their growing influence and are not really aware of what it will cost us in the future.
Gratz says beyond economic issues, there might be threats to democracy as well, as the Chinese Communist Party does not respect democratic processes and could impose political narratives and agendas to the country's legislature.
I think what they are trying to show is that a non-democratic model would also work under the circumstances that the Western Balkans are currently in between, getting more integrated into the Western world, as we call it, and the Western standards. So I think they're trying to show, well, this might work for you, but I don't think it really, it would ever work.
The proposed solution is to diversify supply sources, reduce global dependence on China, and strengthen unity among EU countries using legislative tools. David Vives, NTD News, Brussels.
Forced organ harvesting, the shocking practice of killing people to take their organs, is once again in focus. Lawmakers from 28 countries are joining forces to push for tougher laws against the crime. The Interparliamentary Alliance on China said yesterday that its members condemn the abhorrent practice of state-sanctioned organ harvesting and trafficking. The group says it will push for bans on transplant tourism, sanctions on perpetrators, and greater transparency in transplant systems worldwide. Forced organ harvesting is in China, and it's mostly committed against prisoners of conscience. Its scale ballooned after the turn of the century, correlating closely with the Chinese regime's persecution of Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa. The spiritual discipline is based on truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. The practice was first introduced to China in 1992 and quickly grew to an estimated 70 to 100 million followers by 1999. That same year, the Chinese Communist Party launched a nationwide campaign to eradicate the group. And in lighter news, as dazzling aurora lights illuminated skies across the U.S. this week, stargazers in parts of Australia and Europe also enjoyed the spectacle. The lights were sparked by a powerful geomagnetic storm. In southeastern Australia, the Bureau of Meteorology issued an aurora alert as vibrant pink and green lights danced over the state of Victoria. Hyperlapse footage showed multicolored waves of aurora Australia, or southern lights, streaking across the night sky. In the northern hemisphere, Italy's Aosta Valley caught a glimpse of the aurora borealis, which turned the sky above the meteor in a horn-brilliant red. While geomagnetic storms like this one can produce spectacular celestial displays, scientists say they can also disrupt satellites and radio signals. And coming up, the CCP, Russia, and Iran have vested interest in the survival of the Venezuelan regime led by Nicolas Maduro. For Beijing, the regime provides a gateway to the Western Hemisphere. The Department of War has made it clear this is no longer tolerable for the United States' national security. Stay with us.
I trod on my glasses yesterday, and I had to pay up front for a new pair that I can't even pick up for another 10 days. So I looked for another way, and I found Select Specs. I ordered online. My new glasses just arrived this morning, and I can pay over the next few weeks. This is the way to buy glasses.
See now, pay later with Select Specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options only at selectspecs.com.
Picture this, the heart of Manhattan, full of energy, movement, and life. Now imagine bringing that same vitality into your home with trusted health insights for your body, mind, and soul. Every week, Vital Signs dives into health issues that matter the most. The foods that strengthen your immune system, the exercises that keep you moving, the mindfulness practices that calm your mind, plus expert advice from doctors and health leaders you can trust. This isn't just another health show. It's real insight designed to keep you informed, inspired, and in motion. So whether you're starting your day with focus or winding down with balance, Vital Signs brings health and vitality straight into your living room.
What are toxins? How do they get into our bodies? We are constantly being exposed to toxins in our environment. I've had detox protocol programs in my clinic more than 20 years, helping countless people. MixFix is a custom formulated full-spectrum organic detox product to achieve better health and overall function. Detoxifying your body 3 to 4 times per year may be the single most important thing you can do. Just scan the QR code and detox your body today.
Don't wait. Call now to find out about our Medicare plan.
Why do we have to sit through so many Medicare commercials this time of year? It's endless.
Good question, Edith. I'm glad you asked. We see so many commercials this time of year because it's the only time, other than special circumstances, when Medicare recipients can change their plan for Part C. Original Medicare only covers Parts A and B, but a Medicare Advantage plan has additional benefits that Original Medicare doesn't offer. So